Alder Fire ignited just 2 weeks ago and is already one of the nation's top priorities. The response to this fire is huge and requires so much coordination in a short amount of time. A large chunk of that nationwide strategy is crafted right here in Boise at the National Interagency Fire Center. They've had plenty of practice with the growing number of wildfires across the West. I spoke with the people in charge of distributing resources and the challenges they face during fire season. Located in Boise, Idaho, the National Interagency Fire Center, or NIFC, the nation's support center for fires, where they make critical decisions to manage and support wildfires across the nation.
Nationally, we're broken down into geographical units, and NIFC helps support those geographical units.
Wildfire suppression in the U.S. is built on a three-tiered system of support. NIFC is at the top. To understand what happens at the top of the tier, let's first explain what happens at the bottom. Local agencies are the first to respond to a wildfire. It could be city or county units, the BLM, or Forest Service. It all depends on where the fire is burning.
This row right here, or this column right here, is all of the stuff that the BLM and the state have sent off district. In other words, like these guys have gone to Washington and Washington. These guys are up in central Idaho helping with the fires up in central and northern Idaho.
Mark Rich works at the local level, or Tier 1. There are hundreds of dispatchers like him across the country, answering calls for their agency's jurisdiction. Mark happens to work for the BLM Boise district.
Elevation is 2540, estimated contain and control 1400.
All right, copy all. K246 13636.
It's a dispatcher's job to be in constant communication with the incident commander working on the ground at the actual fire.
And so he just basically gives me the size up, lets me know if he needs anything beyond what we've already sent to him, and tells me what the fire's doing.
Mark enters the information into a national database, a computer system that keeps track of every resource sent to a fire.
I can put in the lat and long, create the incident, and then when I hit the response tab, like today we're in a high, so it says I need to send an air attack, 6 engines, a dozer, a water tender, a battalion, and an investigator.
Mark can also use his own discretion. The key is not to oversend or undersend crews and equipment. It's a juggling act that could put lives and property at risk.
But because of the fire report and what they told me, I was able to tone that down to just one crew and an investigator, so we still have stuff for other IAs, and we're not oversending for what we need.
But let's say that fire grows beyond what the BLM Boise district's resources can handle. Mark then calls neighboring BLM districts for help. If they can't help because the fire is too big or because they're too busy fighting their own fires.
Once those get exhausted, that's when you're going to go to Tier 2.
There are 10 geographical units across the country that make up Tier 2. Each unit is responsible for allocating resources to fires within their unit. Once their resources are exhausted, NIFC gets involved. Whether it's getting an air tanker from South Dakota to fight a fire in Arizona, smoke jumpers from Idaho to California, or engines from Florida to Texas.
They have been dispatching things like equipment, such as engines, dozers, trying to find crews, like hand crews, hotshot crews. They have an aircraft desk that supports, where the aircraft is going as well, so and supplies.
But there are only so many air tankers, hotshot crews, engines, and the demand can be great. That's why top fire managers at NIFC prioritize resources. Top priority goes to fires threatening life, followed by fires threatening property, including natural and cultural resources.
So at that point, you're definitely scrambling because we may have to let some fires go while we're staffing the ones that are considered more critical.
Having enough resources has always been a dilemma for fire managers. How to go about solving the issue is another ongoing dilemma. Some want to allocate more money and resources, increase firefighter pay. Others argue we need to be more proactive at mitigating fires rather than reactive. There's even a push to let smaller fires simply burn out on their own. The same dilemma, the same conversation every fire season, while those on the front lines keep fighting on.
We kind of live by the mantra, you fight the fire you got. So if we're not getting fires and somebody else is, we need to be helping them.
key is just to not have every region blown up at the same time, right? NIFC says currently there are 25,457 personnel assigned to wildfires right now across the country. By the way, you can read all of our stories in this Scorched Earth series at ktvb.com right now.